Welcome to the Juggling Mind and Money podcast with Steve Rowe and Jessica Schlupp-Taylor. Steve Rowe is the founder of Lucent Financial Planning and an award-winning independent financial planner. He helps you to use your money and have a great life. Jess Schlupp-Taylor is a psychologist supporting people through change, challenges, and forks in the road of life. Together, they will help unblock the sludge in your mind, stopping you from achieving financial and psychological happiness.
Hello everybody, welcome to Juggling Mind and Money with Steve Rowe, founder of Lucent Financial Planning, and
Luke James, financial planner at Lucent Financial Planning.
hold the phone. This is Juggling Mind and Money with Steve Rowe and Jessica Schlupp-Taylor. So sadly everybody, Jess is off poorly at the moment. We wish you well soon, Jess, sending you lots of love. And we've got a less than adequate replacement in Luke. Who doesn't even know his own mind, let alone anyone else's.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem. So today we're here to talk about, and this is askew from what we usually talk about because Jess isn't here, to our favourite subject, pension planning.
Woo! How exciting.
We read, talk about and love pensions every day, don't we, Luke?
Yeah, it's like my second wife.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't got a first one.
So here to talk about pensions. We'll start off factually, talking about the types of pensions and how brilliant they are. And then we'll talk about how our mind affects us and whether we can pay into them or not.
Yep.
Because, you know, the word pension doesn't fill you with joy.
Unless you're me and
Us,
yeah.
But for most people,
Yeah.
they start talking about something else.
Yeah, that's it.
And we have to do that a lot, don't we, in meetings? Back in the room.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So, pensions then, Luke. Explain to me the main types of pension that there are.
Yeah, so firstly, there's what's called a defined contribution pension. You might know these as personal pensions, money purchase pensions. They've got a few different names. Essentially, that is defined by the contributions that you make, as you might be able to tell from the name. So it's defined by how much you've paid in and how much it's grown over time. And essentially, when you come to retirement or come to taking money out of your pension, depending on how much you've got in there, you can treat it just like any other pot of money, in that you can take the lot if you like, you can take some of it, but when it runs out, it runs out. There's nothing left.
Oh, and what's the other type of pension?
So that's a defined benefit pension or final salary pension, career average schemes, these kind of things all fall under defined benefit. And that's defined by the benefit that you get out of it. So over your working career, you work with a company, depending on how much you earn, how long you've been working there for, and how quickly it accrues. When you come to a retirement age that's set by the scheme, you get a set amount for life.
Wow. So on one, you know what you're paying in, and on the other one, you know what you're going to get out.
Exactly right.
Okay. So one, you know what you pay in, but not what you're getting out. On the other, you know what you're getting out for sure.
Exactly right.
So the second one sounds better for planning. Is it?
It's certainly much easier, I would say, easier on the planning side. You know what you're going to get. It's guaranteed. That's great, right? You don't have to worry so much about how long you're going to live. On the downside, it's not as flexible. So people tend to spend more when they're younger or in early retirement, because that's when you're fit, you're healthy, you can go on holidays, you're full of ideas that you've always wanted to do. Whereas on the defined contribution, so the pot of money side, it's up to you. It's flexible. You can take out a bit more earlier on if you want to and a bit less later when you might not be in as good health. So there's pros and cons to both. Ideally, a good balance, great. If you can have a good guaranteed income that maybe covers all the essentials, so you know that whatever happens, you've got enough for that, with a bit of flexibility. So when you want to buy your new Ferrari, that was the example given, wasn't it? Your new Ferrari, or go on a holiday, help kids out, those kind of things, you've got the flexibility to do so.
Awesome. So it's hard to go and get yourself a defined benefit pension though, isn't it? You kind of have to be given the opportunity to have one by your employer.
Yes, that's right.
Whereas anyone can go and get a defined contribution pension where they build up a pot themselves. And really, that's just a savings vehicle, isn't it?
Exactly it.
So if you've got spare money and you need more money in the future, it's good to save money, right?
Yes, Steve.
Financial planning is very obvious sometimes.
That was top financial planning, yeah.
Well, that is basically it, isn't it?
That is the job.
You've got spare money now. You'll need it in the future. You need to save it.
Yeah, and what's the best way to save it? That's the key, isn't it?
That is the key. So which is always a toss-up between access and flexibility and long-term returns. So this, listeners, is the greatest thing about pensions. You paying money into a pension, what do you get, Luke?
You get tax relief.
Tax relief. That sounds awesome. It sounds like I won't have to pay tax. Explain how that works.
Well, that's kind of it in a nutshell, really. So say if you are a 40% taxpayer, you earn £80,000 a year. Any money that you pay into a pension, you'll get tax relief at 40% as a 40% taxpayer until the point when you stop being a 40% taxpayer. So let's say in that example, you want to put £10,000 in total into your pension. Effectively, it would cost you £6,000.
Brilliant.
£4,000 for free. There you go.
No way. And when that money's in a pension, what happens then?
Well, you want to invest it ideally. Get advice before investing any money.
Good plug.
But over time, it should grow, and it will grow tax-free while it's still in the pension.
That is absolutely awesome. So I think this reminds me of that famous saying by Einstein,
Right.
who he said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Now, Einstein didn't have a clue about the other seven wonders.
No.
He was like, is it the pyramids or something, right? But the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. What is compound interest, Luke?
That's that over time, your interest will earn interest. Okay, so it snowballs over time because it gets bigger, which means you earn more interest, which means it gets bigger, which means you earn more interest, and that keeps snowballing over time.
So you earn interest on interest on interest on interest. So the more I say that, right, the more money you'll be earning, but also the less interested in this podcast you will become. Yeah. Is that right?
I think that's probably right.
So it's magic over time, and its effect is truly amazing. Like, look at a compound interest chart if you've got Google, dear listener. It is staggering. Now, so you've saved tax going in, and then I've heard someone say the ninth wonder of the world is compound interest on interest on interest on money you wouldn't otherwise have. Who said that?
I don't know. Aristotle?
No, it was me.
Oh, right.
I coined that myself.
Yeah, I know you did. You keep reminding us.
Well, because it is the most important thing.
It is pretty great. It is pretty great.
In what we do, compound interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's basically what we do.
Yeah, that's it.
1 + I to the n. Beautiful.
Well, if we hadn't lost them before, we're starting to lose them now.
Yeah, that's a formula.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I am literally lost in that formula now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. I'm looking adoringly at the ceiling. Yeah, so you got a pension, you're saving up, you get to a time where you've had enough of work, right? You got your free enoughs. I think this was Paul Armson who coined this. Might not have been. You got enough money. Have you had enough of work? And have you got enough to do when you stop work? That's good, isn't it? Snappy.
That is good.
So you stop work and you think, right, I want to get my money out of my pension. What happens then?
Well, let's look at the defined contribution type first, which is the pot of money. When you come to take money out of that, generally you get 25% of it tax-free. So if you've got a pension of 400,000, you could access 100,000 of it tax-free. You don't have to take it out all at once. You can take it out bit by bit over time, or you can take that out all as once. Or And on the second part of it, the rest of it, that's taxable as income. So when you access in that example, the other 300,000, when you come to withdraw it, that's taxed as if you've earned it.
Brilliant. So when you pay money in, say 10,000, and if you're a higher rate taxpayer, you'd get 4,000 tax relief on that. When you stop work, you probably won't be a higher rate taxpayer anymore.
Most people aren't, not when you've stopped.
And certainly with good financial planning, you can contrive it so you aren't a higher rate taxpayer.
Yep.
So you might be drawing out money from the pension. Well, there's a 25% tax free. You've got your personal allowance of 12,500 a year that is taxable but 0%. And then you could get the rest at 20%. So you're winning. And that's before even considering the ninth wonder of the world, which is compound interest on money you wouldn't otherwise have.
Keep saying it. I'm sure it'll take off any day.
Well, for people to learn, you've got to repeat it over and over.
Yeah.
Because it is the most important thing. Any clients that are listening to this, when you come in, recite that. I'll love you. I'll give you a Toblerone. We've got loads of Toblerones.
We have at the minute, but by the time somebody hears this and comes in...
Well, you got 3 listeners.
Yeah, well...
One's Jess's mum. Probably Jess.
Yeah.
Because she's poorly in bed.
Yeah. Who's this idiot replacing me? Oh, okay. I'm not worried. I'll be okay.
I'm not worried about my broadcasting career.
But that's why idiots like us get excited about these things. When we talk about pensions, and we do get excited, and do feel free to call us losers in meetings when we do start getting excited about pensions. But this is it, because it's free money. It grows over time, which is even more free money. You don't have to do very much to get it. Just put the money in, forget about it. All right. And come the end of the day, it honestly changes your life.
It does. So it will enable you to do all the things you want to do.
Yeah.
As long as you put enough in.
Yeah.
But when you pay it in, you're getting help from the government, probably getting money from your employer.
Yeah.
It's all good. Plus compound interest on money you wouldn't otherwise have.
Like thunder.
I think I've said that 3 times now.
No, I think that's enough.
3's enough.
And the defined benefit side of things, just to quickly go over that, it's a guaranteed income for life. You can choose how and when you take it up to a certain point, in that often you'll be able to get a lump sum at the start. You often have to reduce some of the pension, so there's some of the annual amount that you get every year to get a lump sum at the start. And every scheme works a little bit differently, but in general, that's how it works. So less flexibility, but once it's done, it's set in stone. So once you start taking it and you make the decision, that's how much you're going to get forever. You're forever.
Brilliant. So essentially, pensions, they're not that complicated. Some of the machinations of doing stuff within them is, but you pay money in, you get tax back, that grows tax-free. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, some people will say, I'm a business owner, right? A lot of business owners will say, well, I need that money. I don't want to lock it away. I need it to help grow my business. Right. So let's have a quick chat about how pensions are not necessarily off limits if you're a business owner. So Luke, tell me, how do a lot of people use their pension to help their business?
So one thing is that if you do it as an employer contribution, so employer contributions out of the business, it counts as an expense against the business. So it can help reduce the corporation tax bill that you're paying.
Yeah.
Okay. Also helps to get the money out into your name. Right. So if you're running a successful business, one of the things you will realize is that it's not necessarily difficult, but difficult to get money out of the business without paying a lot of money in tax. Pensions is right up there with the best things that you can do, as a really efficient way to get money out of the business and into your name. And at the end of the day, most business owners start their business, perhaps because they're passionate about it, they enjoy what they do, but also at the end of the day, you want to earn money from it and you want to earn money, right? And that's the key.
it. So you set up your business as a limited company to limit the liability you have, but whilst there's money in the company, that's open to creditors of the company. Okay. You set up the business to support yourself as well as others. And a lot of business owners, they start focusing on everyone else and forget about themselves. So making employer pension payments is a great way, tax efficient way of extracting money. Also, it's possible for a business owner to buy, say, a property within their pension that their business uses. So typically this might be an office or a shop or something. You're not allowed to buy residential property in a pension. So if the business rents an office, they could buy the office with their pension, and then the business will pay rent to the pension. So the great thing about that is the rent is an expense against corporation tax, and then it's paid into the pension, and the pension receives it tax-free. Right? Then also, obviously, the office can grow. So it enables you to secure premises in a very tax-efficient way rather than buying it through the business, for example. There are other ways, such as, for example, once I helped someone buy a £1 million machine to help his company fulfill an order to make a load of little metal fastenings. And that order essentially paid for everything within 2 years. He didn't have any money. He couldn't get a loan on the business. So he got a loan from his pension. That was secured on the machine. He paid back the loan over time. And that enabled him to get this great contract that the banks wouldn't help him on.
That's it. So when we get excited about pensions, this is the stuff we really get excited
That's really cool,
about.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
that is really cool. That was some good financial planning, Steve.
I loved that. That was a while ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still brilliant.
Yeah.
So there are some great things that can be done. So don't consider it as locked off money, especially if you have a business, because it can help you whilst you're not running out. That's dreadful. Right, so we're going to have a quick break now, and then we're going to come back, and you're all wondering, who is this enigmatic voice? I'm used to the squeaky guy, but who's this new enigmatic voice? What is he about? We're going to hear more from Luke James and what he's like as a person, an individual, and an all-round superstar after the break.
And now a message from our sponsors. Jess, Steve, there are no sponsors. This is embarrassing.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, we're going to find out more about Luke James, Chartered Financial Planner at Lucent Financial Planning. We're going to find out more about him so you know who the voice is. So, Luke, you've been here. You're our second longest server at the moment.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about tennis.
No.
Right? So 7 1/4 years.
Yep.
Well, that's a long time.
It is indeed.
I've watched you blossom from a young man to a scruffy older man. And I must say, it's been a delight. You're a lovely boy, aren't you?
Right, you're making me uncomfortable.
I
now.
know.
Thanks, Steve.
So 7 1/4 years. Got the 7-year itch yet?
No, not yet.
Good lad.
That was a good answer, wasn't it?
Sounded true.
Otherwise, this podcast would have changed. I have actually, yeah.
So tell us, what do you like most about being a financial planner?
What I think I like most about it is that it's always different. I think not always, but a lot of the times it's different. So it's different people that you get to meet, different ways that you get to help them. And I think being able to kind of follow everything through. So somebody can come in the first meeting, they could be in a really good position and you can kind of help them make it even better. But especially so the people that are in a bad situation when they come in. So I deal with a lot of people going through divorce and things like that.
Which that's not because you're a heartbreaker, is it?
No, I don't. It's self-generated. No, it's so people coming in those situations are in a really tough time a lot of the time. You know, really worried, scared. What does the future hold? Don't really understand what's going on all of the time. You know, with the finances and what it's going to look like afterwards. So I'd say that's kind of my favourite thing, not seeing people in those situations, but helping them from getting from that situation to a situation where at the end they go, right, I get it now. I know life's going to be all right and that I'm going to be all right. That, without a doubt, is my favourite thing.
Nice. And they love you, to be fair, don't they? One of those divorced ladies brings you cakes.
She does indeed. I'm sure Carol won't be listening to this, but yes, she does. We love it. Ricky
And you
Rose.
don't share them.
I don't, yeah. I definitely don't.
They are incredibly good because I stole one once. So you have been born into financial planning, haven't you?
Yep.
Tell us about your backstory.
So everyone wishes that they had some great what's it called when the superheroes got their origin story.
Their origin story. This is great. It's the Fens.
Yeah, my origin story. Can I say crap? I've said crap.
Yeah.
My origin story is crap in the sense that I became a financial planner because after leaving school, I was sitting around the house a lot doing nothing. And my dad said, you need to go out and get a job. So as I went out and started in a mortgage broker and saw how financial planning worked, decided that it was for me and I enjoyed it, started passing my exams and slowly built it up from there to fully qualified and chartered financial planner now. That's my origin story.
Come on. And tell us about your dad.
My dad. So my dad was a financial advisor, hence he told me to go work at this mortgage broker's, who had the best name, by the way, for a mortgage broker, Barry Bonus.
Barry Bonus?
That's a great name,
Is that
isn't
his
it?
surname?
Yeah.
Like AS or OS? US.
US.
So
like
good with
bonus.
numbers, people,
Yeah, no.
not with words.
Not names, yeah. Bonus, spelled like bonus. Anyway.
That is brilliant.
That's a proper good name, isn't it? So it's what my dad had done after he left the army. So he kind of said, look, go do this, and work out what you want to do in life. And I started doing it, really enjoyed it. And then come a couple of years ago, Dad was on the fence a bit about retiring. He didn't want to let go.
I love this story. Like, this is the most heartwarming story from a pair of gentlemen who are, of course, uptight about emotions and things like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's really lovely. This is my favourite thing that you've ever done, I think.
Yeah, yeah, fair. So he didn't want to retire. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? All through your working life telling other people to retire, but it's difficult when it's yourself in that situation. So I had a meeting with him, not a proper meeting, in my mum and dad's kitchen. And we went through their financial plan and I said, look, you just need to stop. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it's this, and he always had something. And then I said, look, Dad, if you don't spend this money, I will. Within 6 months, he packed it in, was going around the world and bought a camper van. So that was really what spurred him on.
So he retired essentially because of preemptive revenge.
Yeah, pretty much. I knew there's a good thing about doing financial planning with your own family members. You know how to kind of push their buttons. Yeah. You know what will work.
That'll annoy him.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's hard, I think, doing it with your family.
Yeah, it is more difficult, more emotional.
We end up fighting a lot.
I didn't have that problem.
Oh, that's just my brothers.
Yeah.
Okay. It's great having you at Lucent Financial Planning, Luke. Top boy.
Thanks, Steve.
He says I said this to everyone.
You do say that to everyone.
Which I do, but we ain't got many boys, to be fair.
No.
So it's not much of an award. Yeah, so it's been great watching you grow as a man. I'll say a man. I mean that loosely.
Yeah. I thought you would say literally growing.
Because you're genuinely, you're really brilliant.
Let's move on. Is it time for
another? It's getting awkward.
No.
And on that note, let's go. Let's listen to some reviews, shall we?
Steve and Jess would be really grateful if you'd leave them a review on wherever you listen to your podcasts. If they run a star system, please give Juggling Mind and Money more stars than the Milky Way.
Right, we've got a 5-star review from someone who says it's a good listen. Obviously, you may disagree halfway through this episode. And this is from Positively RD. So I stumbled across this podcast and have already listened to a few back episodes. The presenters have a good rapport and cover some different angles from other financial podcasts. Well worth a listen! Exclamation mark.
That's really good. Sorry,
Isn't it?
I sounded really surprised then. I didn't mean it.
That's a nice review.
That's
So
really
everybody,
nice.
thanks for sending in your reviews. Like, if you haven't done one, it's a bit like robbing from us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's theft.
Because you're listening, you're having a great time, but you're not putting out.
Remember those old adverts about not stealing? Not from stealing films. You wouldn't. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a podcast.
You wouldn't listen to a podcast for free when all you had to pay was a review. So it'd be really great if you could do that, because it really helps us. It boosts us up the charts from 17,000th, 322nd most listened podcast in the world. I want to get into the 16,000s. That would be great, wouldn't it?
That would be great. I thought it was number one. I thought that was the aim.
That was in Solihull-based financial podcasts.
Oh, okay. Let's narrow it down.
We are number one on that.
Perfect.
Okay, so back to what we were talking about and what this episode is all about. It's about pensions. So let's think of the mental side of pensions. What puts people off? Why they don't like them? Is it just the word? The connotations around the word pension?
I think that plays a massive part in it. Except for me and you, most people don't get filled with excitement when they hear the word pension. I think a lot of people kind of think of like negative words, like people getting scammed, people losing their pension, pensions running out, all of those kind of things get put in the news a lot, don't they? So that sticks in people's minds, puts them off.
That's it. So all those things are nothing to do with pensions, really. Like someone nicking your money, that's because there's thieving toe rags around.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't to do with pensions, right? You lose money on investments, not because of the pension. So the pension might be invested in something that ain't great.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some bad stories about people buying off-plan property developments and things like that in pensions, or even doing things that you aren't allowed to get in pensions. So then there's big tax charges if you do that. But if you did what we would promote, buying all the companies in the world, their shares, at whatever level of risk you're happy with, then that won't lose money unless you sell out when it's gone down. In which case, that's your fault. It's nothing to do with the pension. All the pension is a barrier against tax, and it saves you loads of tax. So there's a lot of bad mouthing, I think, about pensions.
That is an interesting point, isn't it? Because why don't ISAs get the same reputation? People must have had their money nicked from ISAs, It just tends to stick around pensions. And essentially, they don't work the same way, but they are just investment vehicles that you can use.
That's it. So another bad thing about pensions, not bad about the pension, but what's bad, why people think they're bad, is the rules get changed all the time. I never know where they are, where I am with them. So pretty much annually at the budget, we hear about how tax-free cash is about to be abolished. That is every year, isn't it?
Yeah, every single year without fail.
Don't you do your head in?
Yeah.
And you have to go through with people.
Yeah.
Don't get your tax-free cash out.
Yeah.
Because it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
It will not be abolished in one foul swipe. Because people are relying on that money. The changes of the rules, that does sometimes put people off. Okay, and if we remember, when you pay into a pension, you get your tax back. So that's a bonus. You don't get things for nothing, do you? It's a bit like leaving a review and listening to a podcast, right? The strings attached, the trade-offs to getting your tax back is you can't get money out till you're 55 or 57, at which point you can get it out and pay tax then. Okay, so the rules do change. You love it when a rule changes, don't you?
Sometimes, depends how big it is. Well, I think it's opportunities, right? It's opportunities to plan around those rule changes when they happen.
Yeah.
And that's where we thrive. Financial planners should embrace those changes.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it?
Something different.
New set of rules.
That's it.
Another 300 pages to learn.
I also think what puts people off is that there's kind of a stigma attached that pensions are really complicated. And that can be true sometimes. Like you do get complicated pensions, but they're becoming rarer and rarer over time.
Well, yeah. So the older schemes are complicated.
Yeah.
The modern ones aren't really.
No.
But I think in life, something's as complicated or as simple as you make it, isn't it?
Yeah, but when somebody thinks something's complicated and they've got all these rules attached and they're worried about it, people tend not to want to think about it or do something about it. Do you know what I mean? That kind of head in the sand logic sometimes with pensions.
Yeah. And other people think, well, my property is my pension.
Yeah.
Have you heard that before?
I have indeed.
Maybe. Have you heard that today?
I have indeed. I was just thinking when you said that, Steve, just for the listeners out there, this is the second time we're doing this podcast today because Steve forgot to press record. When he was saying, I was like, did we talk about that this time round or was that last time round? So to go back to my answer.
I feel like
before.
I'm getting red now.
Yeah, you should.
But we don't run a blame culture. But that was totally your fault.
Yeah.
Because you were worried about the wonkiness of the camera.
It was wonky. So people that think
bring back Jess.
Yes.
Please get well, Jess. Come on.
Yeah, for all of our sakes, really. So people do say that a lot. My property is my retirement plan. That's my pension. Things like that. I'd say, if you're talking about the actual property that you live in, well, I'd say that's a bit risky because if you're going to use all of that money, what are you going to live in?
Yeah, because when you stop work, surely you want to spend more time in your house because you ain't at the office or commuting or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't that when you want a bigger house rather than trading it in for a smaller, less expensive one?
Well, that's when you want to have the big garden in it. You've got the time to do the gardening, go out, enjoy the garden, have a nice time. You might downsize later on, but not normally when you first retire. And other ways getting money out of it, like equity release and things like that, that's... it's a bit of a big decision that early on. You don't really want to be doing that ideally.
And you can't eat a brick.
You can't eat another famous Steve saying. Steveisms, that's what we're going to call them. You can't eat a brick. You can't sell your kitchen. And now on the buy-to-let kind of front, so people that have got a few buy-to-lets or a lot of buy-to-lets, like to me, that's not retirement. That's a job.
Shall we role play?
We can do. Are you the tenant or I'll be the tenant.
You be the tenant and you're going on holiday. You're in an airport.
Right, so I'm the landlord.
Yeah, you're going on holiday.
Okay, right. You did that the other way around. For listeners, I'm moving side to side as if I've got luggage. There you go,
Flights to Tenerife. Please go to gate 7.
Oh my God, who's that? Hello.
All right, landlord.
All right.
My boiler's busted and my bath's leaking through ceiling.
Well, I'm on my way to on my holidays at the minute.
I don't care. It's your responsibility as my landlord to fix this. I'm freezing.
All right. I'll get it sorted as soon as I can.
Oh, come on, darling. We're supposed to be going on holiday.
Well, we can't. We've got to fix a boiler.
Oh, sod him.
It doesn't work like that.
It's quite a small room we're recording in this, so there was 4 people here then.
Yeah, that was very good, Steve.
Didn't do that in rehearsal.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. You're going to get interrupted.
Yeah.
You're not retired. It's a job.
Yeah. Who wants a job in retirement? That's the whole point.
Well, you might want a job. Like
Yeah.
a nice hobby job.
Yeah.
But, getting rang up at all hours.
That's not a nice job. And people say, well, I could just pay somebody to do that. And then what I'd say is, but then, why not just get those similar kind of returns, not guaranteed, of course, without all of the headache, right?
Yeah.
That's just eating into your profits, isn't it?
It is. It's hard work. And the thing with that is, as you get older, right, it gets harder and harder. And at some point, you're going to have to sell. But you don't want to sell because you've got capital gains tax, right? Or you've got a bad tenant, you don't get any money, and you can't afford the interest-only mortgage on it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you've got to sell up.
That's it. Interest rates go up. Suddenly, what was really profitable before is not so profitable anymore because you've got mortgages on them.
Yeah.
Comes with risk.
So I think it's a good way to building up money, but not when you're in retirement.
No. Also, it's kind of that thing, and this might be the wrong question to ask, really. But what would you prefer, all of that faff and hassle, or to have one meeting a year with Steve for your annual review?
Where I would say compound interest on money you wouldn't otherwise have.
Banging on about wonders of the world.
Yeah, and you can't eat a brick.
You know what? Give me the buy-to-lets and the tenants.
You take that back.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. So we're coming towards the end now. I just want to ask a question about pensions.
Yep.
And what would happen if you died?
Do you always leave these podcasts on such a high note? Let's talk about death.
Well, we've got the high note in a minute.
Well, that's true. Also, you don't want to talk about death too early because people switch off. Leave it till the end.
That's right.
So pensions when you die, let's go back to the two types of pensions. Defined contribution, that's your pot of money, defined by what you pay into it. And defined benefit, that's your guaranteed type. Okay. So defined contribution, whatever's left in there, so how much is left in there, gets left behind to whoever you want. Okay, so you write an expression of wish. That's your expression of who you wish it to go to.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as things stand at the minute, there's no inheritance tax to pay on any money in pensions. It doesn't form part of inheritance tax calculations. From 2027, that will change and it will form part of your estate. And if you die before you're 75, whoever you leave it to gets it all free of income tax. If you die after 75, then they have to pay income tax on the withdrawals.
And what was announced in the budget in October 2024?
So what was announced was that beforehand, when you were calculating how much somebody was worth after they died, pensions didn't form part of that generally. They weren't included in that calculation. From 2027, they'll be treated in the same way that other money like ISAs or your savings would be. It'll all get added together and could leave you with an inheritance tax charge.
That's right. So it's only at the time of recording, May 2024.
Mm-hmm.
2025. May 2025. And as yet, the rules on how inheritance tax are going to be applied to pensions haven't been announced. But it's almost certain it will apply in some form or another from April 2027. So we need to start thinking about what we're going to do to help reduce this inheritance tax. Okay, so I think once we know the rules, there'll be good ways of planning around it to see what we can do. And the answer is most probably spend your money, ladies and gentlemen. Life is short. You're wasting it. Listen to this podcast. We've recorded it twice, but only actually pressed the button once. Spend your money whilst you're young, fit and healthy enough to do so. If you don't think you'll ever be able to spend it all, then start looking at giving it to your kids in some way. Or your family, or the community, or society in general, or charity. But if you decide and you give it to them whilst you're alive, you'll get a benefit from that, which is one of the great well-being benefits. Where you give money or be kind to other people, you feel better about yourself because of it.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'd say is that, okay, that if that rule comes into effect as we think it might do, pensions aren't as good as they were before for some people. They're still really good, right? Because of all the things we've spoken about. So it shouldn't, for a lot of people, shouldn't put them off, still making those contributions.
It's very much like a trifle, isn't it?
Yeah.
If there was no cream on top, it'd still be flipping awesome.
I've never had a trifle in my life.
What? You haven't lived.
I kind of think I know what you mean.
Let's have trifle day.
Yeah.
Now, on that trifling matter,
very good.
Let's go to Sockology, everyone's favourite part of the show.
And now for Sockology, where Jess and Steve review types of sock and how your socks affect your mood.
Right, we're back. So now to Sockology. Now, this is a special Sockology. for our girl Lisa. So Lisa retired last month. She was the heart of our business, really. I miss her already.
Me too.
I mean, she only popped in last week.
That's also true. Also last
Between
week,
holidays.
it came up on LinkedIn like happy anniversary. And so I was messaging her, I said, Lisa, you're not there anymore.
Oh, like since she started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lisa left, but she's still very much part of us.
Mhm.
And so she bought us some socks. Now I'm going to get my leg up first. Now these are my own. I think I might have shown these before. These are my dinosaur socks. Look at those beauties.
It's my turn now.
Now Lisa bought these for Luke. Put them up, mate. Your little pink toes. And how do they make you feel when you got them on?
Well, it would be quite ferocious because that looks like a velociraptor to my untrained eye. Do you reckon?
No.
You don't think so? You are the resident dinosaur expert.
Well, it's hard, cartoon dinosaurs.
But it was how the tail was curled.
I think you might be right, actually. I mean, I don't want to get too close to check.
No, yeah, I wouldn't. It would make me feel ferocious if it wasn't for the bits of pink. So
Instead, does it make you feel rawsome?
Just a bit flamboyant.
Yeah. Okay. So, thanks very much, special guest star Luke James. We'd really like all listeners, if they enjoyed listening to Luke, to contact us at info@lucentfinancialplanning.co.uk and demand more from him in other episodes. Otherwise, we'll just have to look forward yearningly to Jess returning.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't like it, please don't tell us that you didn't like it because my fragile ego can't take much more.
No, you are ever so sensitive.
A little bit.
Oh. Okay, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time. I'm not sure what we're doing next time because I haven't spoke to Jess or who might appear instead. Well, that's exciting, isn't it? It's like a little lucky dip. So see you next time, everyone. Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review. Give us 5 stars, none of this 4 stars rubbish where you can improve on certain points. 5 stars and say nice words. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next time. Say goodbye, Luke.
Bye, everyone.